Hello, and let's all hope that this is working. So apparently I've recorded a couple of videos and I actually uploaded one and there was no sound and only one person noticed and that person was not me. So that tells you how many people watch my videos, but whatever. I have a new camera, which I actually got for Christmas. So it is almost 6 months old and I have used it like 3 times now. And I just found out that the video I uploaded the other day didn't have sound. And I just now was trying to do a telehealth conference with a doctor, and she could not hear me and realized that the default settings on my computer were for my MacBook, which is currently closed in a dock. And I have a new camera, and that camera has microphone. And so I needed to change the settings. So let's all hope that this works now because I like my new camera. I look very glossy and vampiric somehow in this lighting with this new camera, and I kind of love it. So, very pale, very red hair. What's my vampire look? Ooh, ooh. Or is it my Victorian ghost lady look? Anyway, what I was trying to say with my other videos, was that I have decided for mental health purposes that from now on, I'm just going to let my freak flag really fly on these videos, and I am going to be featuring ears from my personal collection. Yes, I am a Disney adult. I'm not one of the ones that is really awful, I hope, but I am a person that enjoys going to Disney properties. I recently went on a Disney cruise and 2 weeks later followed it up with a trip to Disneyland with different family groupings because that's how I roll. And I have my Figment here, and I have talked about this in some of other videos. I just got him at Disney World on my way out to the cruise ship, baby Figment, and I hold him in my lap now while I write because he's the perfect size to rest my arms on. And I had talked before about how Figment sort of started my love of dragons and things like that. And so I'm gonna sit here and hold baby Figment and wear various ears. These are my Walt Disney World 50th anniversary Tiki Room ears. Do you love them? Yes, you do. Um, Previous post was about pretty books, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, but hopefully try to keep this real short and sweet. This video is technically going to be about summer reading. June is upon us. It is time for our summer reading, kids. It's time to figure out what you're going to read this summer at the beach, on vacation, just because school is out, just because it's hot, you don't want to go outside. What should you read? So I have a mix of things that I recommend just in general for summer reading, but also several things that I not only recommend personally, but I'm going to try and make my daughter read this summer. She was just finished her junior year of high school. She's 17 years old. She loves to read, and I've been trying to get her to read several books for a year or two now. I'm going to make her do it this summer. She is ready. Anyway, starting off, what am I reading right now? First of all, reading aloud to the kids, Cressida Cowell's Which Way Around the Galaxy, which is the second book in her Which Ways series. I picked up the third signed by her accidentally while I was in England. Didn't realize it was the third, but also it was signed, so I didn't care. And came home and got the first two. We're now on the second one. They're really super fun, quirky, illustrated by her with like fun scribbles and doodles of the kids and things like that. You'll love it. Great for all ages. I'm reading it aloud to a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. We all like it. My husband likes it. So this is what I am reading personally. The latest book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. A little bit more on those later. Definitely for adults. A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinniman. Super obsessed. Love these books, especially I follow along in the actual hardcover, but I am listening to the audiobook, which is narrated by Jeff Hayes, who is a voice actor artist. I mean, he is phenomenal. He is doing over 100 distinct voices. They are so good. If you love audiobooks, or even if you're not sure about them and you're an adult and you want to try Dungeon Crawler Carl, treat yourself to the audiobooks. They are just absolutely god tier level audiobooks as far as I'm concerned. So, what are we going to read this summer? And what are some pretty books that you could read this summer to kind of combine my videos? Beatrix and the Unicorn by Lita Judge. I love Lita Judge. I love her art. If you have not read Red Sled, fabulous, fabulous book. This is her latest, Beatrix and the Unicorn. Is this stunning or is this stunning? Words and pictures are by Lita. This is a gorgeous little story about love and kindness and friendship and all good things. The Assassination of Brangwen Spurge by M.T. Anderson and Eugene Yelchin is a very beautifully designed book, as well as being just deeply weird. And I love it so much. And I haven't read it since it first came out, but it is sort of like a story told two different ways. There is the story of this goblin who is an ambassador to these other people. And then there is the story from the point of view of the person who is hosting him, who's supposed to be showing him around, teaching him about their culture. So it's both words and pictures telling both sides of the story. It is really unusual. It's a gorgeous book. It's a wonderful story. I need to reread it. I'm trying to decide if I should just, because of the art, if I should just have my kids read it to themselves or if I should read it aloud to them to make sure it gets read. But it's so different and it's so good. Griffin and Sabine trilogy by Nick Bantock. As far as pretty books and also things I want to reread this summer and that I highly recommend for a summer read because there are 6 of these. The first 3 I have in a box set because at the time there were only going to be 3, but it is basically it's a series of letters between 2 people. One is an artist and one is a woman on the other side. Griffin's an artist, and on the other side of the world is this woman who, for whatever reason, can see his art. She can see what he is drawing, and she starts sending him postcards and letters saying, "Yeah, I like that postcard that you just drew. I think it worked really well." And he's like, "Wait, who are you? How did you do this?" And they start corresponding. They go from postcards to letters. There's envelopes on the page that you actually you open up, you take the letter out to read the letter. So you're reading their actual correspondence. It's so fun. I read this originally as a teenager. It's for adults, but it's for adults just in terms of like complexity of concept. Um, there's nothing in it that is inappropriate for younger readers. I don't think like preteens would care. But I feel like teens, especially if they're interested in kind of a romance, a mystery, would really go for this. Adults love it. There's 6 of them. They've been out for years. I love them to pieces. Yay. The Lost, I'm super jazzed about this. Sarah Beth Durst, one of my dear friends and one of the most talented authors out there right now. She wrote this book to be the first book in a trilogy, had a different cover years ago. The imprint that she was writing for basically got killed. And so the rest of the trilogy got canceled. She just had the opportunity to redo this. She was able to combine the books into one and so that you get closure. Yay! Of this really cool different series about basically the town where all lost things go. Lost shoes, lost lunches, that last piece of sandwich, the last cookie you were saving, people who are lost. Houses that were lost to the bank when they say like we lost our house and things like that. That has happened here. And this woman stumbles on the land of the lost and has to, not the land of the lost, but like this lost town and has to figure out if she wants to stay or if she wants to find herself and go home. It's really cool. Joanne Harris's The Moonlight Market. This is a gorgeous book. If you are a fan of Neverwhere, I recommend this one. Um, Joanne Harris is just, she wrote, Chocolat and lots of other things, Gospel of Loki. This is one of hers that I just discovered this past fall and just finally read, and it is so good. If you read for vibes and aura, this is the book for you. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, amazing. Her latest book, first of all, gorgeous sprayed edges, cool design throughout. It's on like double thick paper and all that good stuff. This is a really unusual book where it sort of aligns with her book Babel. Um, Babel, however you choose to say that, but in that it's like you can go to Oxford and Cambridge and also study magic and especially study the concept of like hell, and hell is a real place. It's been described by Dante. It's described in, all these different mythologies. And these two graduate students basically go to hell to find their dead professor. And it is really unusual. They have to move through all the nine circles of hell and pass these tests and stuff like that. It was very cool. Lore Olympus. I'm going to hold up volume 9. Volume 10 is upstairs on my bedside table. It just came out. I absolutely love the Lore Olympus books. Oh, by the way, Calabasas, probably older teens, but also adults. It's made for adults, but anyway, older teens could go for it. Um, Rachel Smythe's Lore Olympus, solidly for adults. I am, however, going to let my daughter because I know I know she can handle what is in these books. Start reading these this summer. They are, if you don't know, comics about the story of Hades and Persephone. They started on her website. She still does it on their website. This is a collection, different storylines. We're up to volume 10. Highly recommend if you love mythology at all, if you like comics, and you are an adult that can handle some language and some more traumatic concepts, because Greek mythology is full of some adult concepts from the get-go. So upper middle grade readers, this is for you. The Last Dragon on Mars by Scott Rankin. Yes, his name is apparently pronounced Rankin. Anyway, um, these are fabulous. They are both sci-fi and fantasy at the same time, and who doesn't love that? But there are colonies on the moon and Mars, and each livable planet basic or moon basically has a dragon that is the spirit of that celestial body and has basically given themselves to the protection of and the thriving of the people on their planet or moon. It is very cool. It is simultaneously like very advanced sci-fi with the dragons can turn into spaceships and fire missiles and things like that. And then they can also be actual flesh and blood dragons. It is very high concept, extremely cool. My 14-year-old has read the first two. The first two are out. This is The Last Dragon of Mars. It's the first one. Second one is The Rise of Neptune. I liked it even more. So did he. He's 14 and he loves it to death. So Moira's Pen by Megan Whalen Turner. If you love the Thief novels, if you have not read her Thief of Atolia, um, or The Queen's Thief, I guess is the name of the series. If you have not read Turner's Queen's Thief series, start there with The Thief. Oh my gosh. These books are so good. They're sort of loosely based on Greek mythology and Greek culture, but it is its own world and it is so cool and so good. Moira's Pen, which I just discovered this last summer, which is this beautifully illustrated edition, which is short essays by her about research she's done for the different books, as well as being very short stories about different characters, mostly some of the side characters in the series. So if you haven't read the series, this book is meaningless to you. If you have read the series, I did not know this was out until I was with Megan at a con and was like, what is that? And I was so excited. Nine Goblins by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher, this is the very first book Ursula Vernon wrote as T. Kingfisher because she'd been writing kids' books under her name Ursula Vernon. And then she came up with this one about this group of goblins in the army who accidentally get sort of transported, like, what's that called? Teleported to the other side of the country and have to sort of work their way back to the army. And I still have a bookmark in this. Isn't it cute? Um, but she It was the first one she wrote that they're like, this really isn't appropriate for kids. It has a lot of, not graphic, but a lot of people die because it's a war. And it's sort of a murder mystery to a certain extent. And so people didn't know what to do with it. So she self-published it under this new pen name. And now it just got a shiny new edition out with art by her. And I think it's so darling. I actually really loved it. And I wish I'd read it aloud to my kids because they would have been fine with it. It's really great. All right, this is what I'm going to make my daughter read this summer. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. If you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. Read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. There is a second book. It is called The Muse of Nightmares. It is so good. Award-winning, as I think most of Lainey's books are. She is one of the greatest, most artistic authors living today, I think, and a friend of mine. And feel so blessed and lucky to count her as a friend because she is so talented. Strange the Dreamer just broke my heart, and it's for older teens. Gorgeous book. If you have not read Lainey's books, start there. I haven't read this myself yet, but my sister just gave me her copy and said that my daughter and I both need to read it. Jenny Lawson, How to Be Okay When Nothing Is Okay. If you don't know Jenny Lawson, she also has used to have a blog and she was called The Bloggess. She's still called that online, but she writes books. They are all personal essays about her life. They are about mental health issues, physical health issues, um, and she is so freaking funny. So she is talking about tragedy, personal trauma, personal medical issues, and doing it in such a funny way that you're able to really both laugh and cry with her, but also sort of learn from it if you're having your own mental health struggles, especially. Her first book, which was mostly about her childhood and like the first few years of her 20s, Let's Pretend This Never Happened, I think everyone should read. I think it's like one of those things that should be held up as like examples of best American writing or like best nonfiction or something like that. So if you have never read Jenny's books, try Let's Pretend This Never Happened. But I will be reading How to Be Okay When Things Are Not Okay. Kids, the chokehold this has on me. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, Volume 1 by Beth Brower. I have read all the volumes that are out so far. I've also listened to the audiobook because the audiobook reader is fantastic. But these are the journals of Emma M. Lyon, a young lady navigating her crazy family in her cool house in London in the late 19th century. I love her. I love everyone around her. I am a young Hawks fan forever and ever. Amen. Um, but do try them. If you like historical fiction, there's just a hint of the supernatural going on with this. Um, if you like anything like that, romance, any of those things, do read Emma M. Lyon's Unselected Journals. This just, for whatever reason, gives off fun summer vibes to me. You know I love Connie Willis. Connie is the best. And The Road to Roswell was one of her most recent novels. In fact, I think it was her most recent novel. Is so good. If you like Project Hail Mary, the movie, the book, both, try The Road to Roswell. It is like a more like humor madcap version of Project Hail Mary. Less science, more hilarity about someone being abducted by an actual alien in the Roswell area or by Area 51. And it's all like, again with the science fiction. Titan of the Stars. I will also be having my daughter read this. E.K. Johnston, one of my dear friends, fabulous author. This is a combination of the Titanic and Alien. This is what would happen if the Titanic was on its maiden voyage through space, was a spaceship, and Alien happened. Okay, so let's talk again. Dungeon Crawler Carl, Matt Denneman. These are for adults. I have let my 17-year-old daughter read them. She loves them. they are a bit much. I do feel guilty as a mother. We went to a signing. I was at a convention with Matt. I was on panels with him, and then I brought my daughter in to the signing, and she had her princess donut tiara and sunglasses on, and he yelled at me for like 20 minutes because they are not written for kids, they are written for adults. And I'm like, she can handle it, I know my daughter. And he's like, that's bad parenting. And I'm like, oh. Anyway, I'm a bad parent, but I have let my daughter read these. Dungeon Crawler Carl, The Chokehold, that this and MM Line has on me. For the audiobooks, go for the audiobooks if you haven't read this. If you can handle swearing and kind of a lot of just there's naughty humor, like it's dumb boy obsessed with their groin humor. You know how boys are. But anyway, I love these so much. Basically, aliens attack the Earth, they take over, and they put you in a survivor type of show to see if you can um, win a place in the, intergalactic population uh, citizenship. That's what I'm thinking of. To win intergalactic citizenship, you basically have to survive all these levels of essentially a um, human game, a person you should probably know. Sharon McMahon, if you know who she is fabulous. She is America's government teacher, is what everybody calls her. The Small and the Mighty was her first book. She just had another picture book come out about kind of the same people, but this is 12 unsung Americans who changed the course of history and the founding of the civil rights movement. So she moves through all these people, educators, suffragettes, different people who influenced American history, whose names we don't really hear, whose names we don't really know. And she starts off with one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, Gouverneur Morris, and goes on to talk about all these different things. And it is so fascinating. Clara Brown and Virginia Randolph, Catherine Lee Bates, and different women mostly who never got a lot of history books written about them, even though they did so much for American history. So try that this summer if you're looking for some nonfiction to read on the beach, because some of us do like that. But these are my quick and dirty recommendations for what to read this summer. Hopefully this video works, because if it doesn't, I don't even know what I'm gonna do.